one is soft power forces. All right, a nation can use diplomacy. Okay, soft powers is a concept that has to do with a form of power, that is in form of diplomacy, propagandas, use of public opinion, and all of that to influence other countries or other nations in international space. So diplomacy can be explored, publicity, and all of that. Another instrument is balance of power. All right. Balance of power is an approach in international relations where different countries try to form a kind of affiliation, right? A kind of military affiliation or a kind of association in order to gain military assistance, basically from powerful nations, in order to secure their own nation, right? The next one is collective security. Nations can form alliance, a security alliance in order to, strengthen their security in their different nations. Okay. And then another one is another instrument that can be used is economic and non-political methods. Everything is showing on the screen. Peace, war and peace. War is an instrument, yes. Foreign policy. Peace, in form of diplomacy, is also an instrument. In international relations, as we know, when diplomacy fails, when negotiation fails, when maybe mediators are trying to bring peace in any kind of conflict, war is imminent. And then let's look at some examples of foreign policy. This is United Kingdom. UK have their foreign policy, as you can see on the screen. These are just examples. All right. So all these world powers, as we know, one of the major aim is to have influence in the political space, in the global political space. They want to speak and be heard, and they also want to have affiliations with other countries in order to also strengthen their hegemony. Okay? The same thing applies to United States of America. All right. United States, as we know, is a country who believes in democracy and principles of democracy, and then it is in their policy to also spread this political ideology. It is also in their policy to bring global peace among all countries and allied nations, right? And also to strengthen their position as superpower. So these are just examples. Chinese foreign policy consists of the following elements: maintaining independence and state sovereignty, China, maintaining world peace, friendly relations, enhance unity, cooperation between developed countries, increasing its open and innovation efforts, etc. So these are just brief examples of these nations and their foreign policy. Okay, now let's look at Nigeria's foreign policy, which is very sacrosanct in this course. All right. So as we all know, Nigeria gained independence in 1960, and in 1963, Nigeria as a nation became a republic. Okay, and then we assumed all former status of the country that gained independence. Right. So at that point, Nigeria formed their foreign policy. Okay, that was when Jaja Nwachukwu was the first minister of foreign affairs. And then, if you have listened to policy statements of the then Prime Minister Tafawa Balewa, you could see that our foreign policy, was designed at that point. So let's look at what we have on the screen. Since independence, with Jaja Nwachukwu as the Minister for Foreign Affairs and Commonwealth, relations, later called external affairs. Nigerian foreign policy has been characterized by a focus on Africa as the regional power and by attachment to several fundamental principles. Okay, so these are the fundamental principles guiding our foreign policy: Africa unity and independence. All right, so as we saw earlier, that Africa is the centerpiece of Nigerian foreign policy. What does that mean? That means that Africa is the first consideration when Nigeria is talking about her foreign policy. We must first of all talk about Africa. All right, we must talk first of all look at the interest of Africa before talking about other nations of the world. We must take our journey from Africa. That's what it means. All right. So and this led to the fundamentals, principles guiding our foreign policy. Number one, African unity and independence. Number two, capability to exercise hegemonic influence in the region. All right, Nigeria wants to have influence, hegemony. All right, like a superpower, like a big brother in Nigeria. A peaceful settlement of disputes is one of the fundamental principles, guiding policy, foreign policy. Peaceful settlement of disputes, and then another one, non-alignment and non-intentional interference in internal affairs of other nations. All right. In the First Republic, the Prime Minister, who was Tafawa Balewa, declared that Nigeria will maintain non-alignment in dealing with issues like and in dealing with other crises that might connect these traditional superpowers or other foreign countries of the world, that we must remain unaligned. We must not align to the east, to the west. We must not take a position. Rather, we have to be neutral as a nation, right? As one of the principles of our foreign policy. And then if we are dealing with external issues that have to do with the other country, this principle, will come into play. All right. And that is why if any kind of drama is going on between the US and Russia, Nigeria will never take a position. But Nigeria will always seek for peace. Example is the war in Ukraine. All right. We always be on the position of to belong to the East. Let's look at this foreign policy objectives. These are the various objectives guiding Nigerian foreign policy. All right. So let's look at it. Number one is to foster other nations based on mutual respect and non-interference. To promote growth, including economic development, and contribute to global peace and stability by actively participating in international organizations, and promote peaceful. And number four, to enhance Nigeria's image and influence in the international community, showcasing our rich cultural heritage and diverse resources. These objectives form the foundation of Nigeria's foreign policy, guiding our interaction with other countries. So these are the objectives, that forms a foundation in our foreign policy, be it policy in education, be it policy on immigration, be it policy in the area of the economy, political sphere, name it. Nigeria follows these objectives. All right. Okay. So in the 1999 Constitution, the Federal Republic of Nigeria clearly outlined the foreign policy states. It is listed here. You can see the screen. Okay. Promotion and protection of national interests, promotion of Africa integration and support of African unity, promotion of international cooperation for consolidation and universal peace and mutual respect among all nations, and eliminate in all its manifestations. You can I've tried to detail some of this so that you can have an idea of what Nigerian foreign policy objectives represent. Okay, so let's look at Nigeria's role in Africa. Remember, I said Nigeria is like a big brother in Africa, and Nigeria plays the role of a hegemonic nation, like the US is to the whole world. That's how Nigeria is to Africa, right? And other African countries, they look up to Nigeria. Let's look at some of the roles and responsibilities of Nigeria in Africa. Number one, resolution of conflict. Nigeria plays a role of a mediator, okay, and a role of someone who always, a personality who always interfere whenever there is conflict to bring solution. As you can see, the one that happened in Nigerian Republic, Nigeria was concerned about it. Okay, and other African countries, Nigeria has always, taken part in bringing peace and sending troops for peacekeeping mission. Okay, Nigeria also played the role of a big brother in Africa. Number three, regional and sub-regional development is also the concern of Nigeria. And in most cases, Nigeria also provide grants and other forms of assistance to enable this development. Right? Another role Nigeria plays is decolonization. Okay, decolonization is the opposite of colonization. When a country is under colonial influence, and then maybe the country or sister nations, feel concerned about it, they will move towards decolonizing, as trying to stop colonization of that country via every means. So Nigeria has played this role, in helping to decolonize so many African nations. Example is South Africa, right, and other countries too. And the promotion of democratic values is one of the roles we play in Africa. Okay. Nigeria in 1999 had the emergence of democracy, and then we've continued to push this ideology, political ideology, to other African countries, giving its benefits. And then let's forge ahead. These rules are guided by the principles of Nigerian foreign policy, which I've said before. All right. Let's proceed. Nigeria's relations with great powers is another topic we look at. Who are the great powers? When we talk about great powers, we're looking at the multipolarization of the globe, the international. We all have knowledge of the United Nations, members of Security Council. Those who formed the United Nations, these are the great powers. They are the world power, the likes of US, UK, Russia, France, and the rest of them. They attacked world powers or great powers. Okay, and what is Nigeria's relation with these people? We can see US here. You can see my screen. All right. So our relationship with US has been a kind of twists and turns, favorable, unfavorable. Remember, US is a democratic nation. And if you look at the Nigerian history, starting from 1966, when we had the first military takeover, right? Military has succeeded in ruling this country for decades. Okay. So you can see that the military regime contradicts with the aspiration of the United States. Right. So during those periods, we never had good policy relationship with the US until we had the emergence of democracy, full democracy of 1999, which reshaped the relationship Nigeria will now maintain with the United States, where US can now assist in different ways in fighting terrorism in Nigeria, assisting them with grants, providing military assistance, and other kind of aid, being provided to Nigeria, and also in the area of trade and investment. Because we now practice democracy, the US has also participated in direct trade investment into Nigeria, citing most of their multinationals in Nigeria, like ExxonMobil, Chevron, and the rest of them. Most of these companies, banks, and the rest of them are from the US. And also the relationship and policy has also favored us. In fact, both countries in the area of trade, okay, import and exportation. Right, where Nigeria can export their raw materials, and then we also, in return, have importations from the US. Okay. Furthermore, we have also gained in debt relief from the US. Okay. So let's also look at another world power, great power, that is the UK. Remember that UK colonized Nigeria. Nigeria was a former colony of the United Kingdom. And then we've maintained ties with them, starting from the First Republic, right? Our policy never isolated, our foreign policy never isolated United Kingdom, right? We still, pay that homage. Even though we become an independent nation, we still maintain strong ties with the UK politically, the area of diplomacy, the area of international trade, and also, being part of the Commonwealth of Nations. Remember, the Commonwealth of Nations was formed in order to, create ties, not to unite former colonies of United Kingdom, and Nigeria has remained a strong member of this organization, right? In the area of immigration, a lot of Nigerian citizens are in United Kingdom, in Britain, in different parts of UK, right? That is to show you that we have a strong tie. If our policy is anti-UK, it will affect immigration, both immigration and immigration. So is an indication of favorable policy. In diplomatic relations also, we have a good standing with the United Kingdom, right? We have the presence of UK in Nigeria, that's the British Embassy, right? And at some point we've had diplomats, even the Queen of England visiting Nigeria. So it shows you that we've maintained a strong tie. And also in the area of trade relations, Nigeria has always maintained good relationship with the United Kingdom. I believe you are following this class. All right. I'm just trying to speed up so that we can end up on time. All right. So that is it for UK. So let's look at relations, Nigeria's relations with France. France is one of the world powers. France is one of the great powers. All right. As long as this universe is concerned, France is a force. And then our relationship with France has also been kind of rough, and then later kind of smoothing relations. Remember, France operates policy of assimilation, when they colonized most African nations. And then after decolonization, they still maintained that force, right? Trying to influence the policies of these nations. And then later ECOWAS was formed, which Nigeria was a factor in forming that organization. And remember when ECOWAS was formed, a lot of Francophones, those who speak French, those who were colonized by France, were part of this organization. So that organization became a rival organization against the wish of France, and it affected our relations with France. All right, you can see on the screen here. And then later on, we now had a kind of a better relations when Nigeria started operating democracy. All right, a lot of diplomacy come into play, and then the relationship became a better one than what it used to be. But let me go back to where before. I believe you can see my screen. Okay. So this is it for France. All right. And we also have a very good relationship with Russia. Remember, Russia never colonized any African country. Right? They've been on their own, a strong nation on their own. All right. And I think when we also had the Nigerian civil war, Russia, in one way or the other, was committed. We've had a cordial relations with Russia, right? And then Nigeria has also had relations with Russia in the area of scientific adventures, in the area of trade, and all the rest of them. So we had very good relations with Russia, and that is why in our foreign policy, we choose to be neutral. That is why Nigeria maintains non-alignment position in anything that has to do with these great powers, especially Russia and the United States. Why? Because US is the friend of Nigeria, and Russia is also a friend to Nigeria. So taking a position will be detrimental to our relations, and that is why we keep non-alignment position when we're dealing with these world powers, whether there is crisis and all of that. So let's proceed. Okay, so we've seen Nigeria's relations with US, UK, and the rest of Nigeria also have a very good relationship with China. As you can see, we've been into trade partnership with this country. And the area of China has been a very good factor in seeing Nigeria to making sure that we have access to international loans that we've always used for developmental projects. Because of time, there are things I just keep, but I'm just trying to give you the major points that are sacrosanct that will help you succeed in this course. Also, India is not a traditional world power, but an emergent force. Right? We also maintain a very good relationship with India, Brazil, and other emerging powers. So let's also look at Nigeria's role in the UN, Commonwealth, and ECOWAS. All right, so I will just be very brief on this. War and crisis. All right. So Nigeria has always taken that giant step, ensuring that solutions are brought to silent issues in Africa. Okay, on behalf of the United Nations. Okay. Also in area of peacekeeping missions, Nigeria has always sent troops, and these are in line with the wish of the United Nations. Also, let's talk about in ECOWAS. In ECOWAS, ECOWAS stands for Economic Commission of Projects. All right, you can see my screen. So, as you all know, Nigeria has giant role in ECOWAS, Economic Community of West African States. Now, Nigeria was part of the formation of ECOWAS, and the headquarters of ECOWAS is situated here in Nigeria. Shared the position of leadership of this very organization for years. Even currently, President who is Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the ECOWAS, right? Nigeria has always played massive role in ensuring that we contribute to this great organization, ensuring that there is free trade among member nations, ensuring that we always come through whenever there are issues among member nations. Nigeria has always tried to show peace. And also, Nigeria has also featured in Commonwealth of Nations as an organization. Okay, we participate in every activity and function of this organization. And Nigeria has also provided leadership in the days of Emeka Anoko, who was the Secretary General of this great organization. So Nigeria has always played a massive role with ECOWAS. Let's proceed to the next. Because of time just against the field. I'm just trying to rush. Let's look at internal factors. Internal and external factors shaping foreign policy of Nigeria. We start with internal factors. What are those factors that are sacrosanct in forming determining the foreign policy of Nigeria. One is geography. Nigeria is situated in Africa, and therefore, that's why we're taking a position of putting Africa first in our foreign policy. We are situated in Africa. The same thing applies to our world powers and other countries. The first of all, look at their geography. Their environment is very important in foreign policy. Russia takes cognizance of the environment, prioritize the environment, the geographical environment. The territory is very important. Your natural environment is very important in foreign policy. And it determines what you will do internally and externally. And economic development is also a determining factor. Okay? Every nation wants to be economically okay. A political tradition, what kind of political tradition, country practice, what kind of political ideology, what kind of government, what type of government do you practice can also influence policy. Practice the democratic system of government, definitely your policy will be democratic. If you practice a democratic system, it's going to affect the face of your policy. All right? All right. This one, domestic international, also what happens in the domestic environment, international space can also affect policy formation. Public opinion, this one is very powerful, right? In most cases, non-state actors can determine policy. So we can make comments, suggestions, and the government will consider such political institutions is also determining factor, social, economic, government, national aspiration. All these are internal factors determining policy and national character. Is also our existing is also a factor, right? And population, our population is a factor. Nigeria is above 200 million. Take into cognizance foreign policy. Our ethnic, religious diversity and personality too. Policy religious diversity before any foreign policy, so that it doesn't contradict with these factors. Look at external factors. As you can see on the screen, the external factors include three elements. We have world organization, international instances. The external means are because Nigeria belongs to organizations like the UN. These organizations, policies and there are agreements signed and then also whether it will be so political party the national determinant factor as a nation. The press, so the press we go to the embassy, right? So the embassy plays the role of correspondence. They get information, they liaise with Nigeria, and we can liaise with their nations via their embassies. All right, so Nigeria's Foreign Service under the Director of Ministry of Foreign Affairs perform the following. This for Nigeria is on the screen because of time. We want to be very fast. Right, so all these are seen on the screen. Please take notes. You can always go through them. Foreign policy objectives and principles under the Second Republic. Nigeria is on the screen as 1979 is on the screen. The 1979 Constitution highlighted some basic objectives of the Nigeria's foreign policy. So you can always go through it later because of time. Then also go through decisions to abrogate the Anglo-Nigerian Defense Pact of 1962. All right, it's on the screen. Please go through it. Very, very important. Note this is important, please. All right, and then also look at decision to break diplomatic relations with Israel in October 1973. Do this as your assignment. All right, do this as your assignment. Decision to break diplomatic relations with Israel in October 1973. What led to that, and what was the resultant effect? What was the action of Nigeria? All right. Also look at because of time, the decision to recognize NPLA government in November 1975 by Nigerian government. Do this as your assignment because of time, and then submit to this email. Submit to this email, amara.jets@gmail.com. Right, do these two assignments and submit. With this, we call it a day on this lecture, and I believe we've gained a lot. As you prepare for your exams, I wish you a massive success, right? And I pray you come out in flying colors as we keep forging ahead with this great institution, right? By the grace of God, JPTS is empowered to impact the students in a positive way, right? Our content are designed in such a way that you become a master craft already when you are in the system. Some of you, after graduation, you will not start looking for work because you have capacity to stand alone. So on this note, I want to wish you guys success. God bless you all. Bye-bye.